Everybody, so today let's talk about a really cool technique to help loosen up your character's movements when you're animating. It's called breaking joints. All this info can be found in Richard Williams' Animator's Survival Kit. So let's jump into a few examples and then you can start making your animations more flexible. So for our first example, we have a character raising his arm up and lowering it back down. The easing is okay, but everything is straight, so it looks super stiff. Let's get in there and start breaking the joints to loosen this up. The first thing we're gonna do is around halfway, we're gonna start with the elbow. So we'll just bend the elbow a bit, like that. And now let's do it once when we come back down, but we're gonna bend the elbow in the opposite direction. So already, that's looking way looser. But let's keep going. We'll add another keyframe, and now we'll break the wrist as well a little bit. And same with this position. We're going to make the elbow arrive first, and the wrist will drag a bit more. And that is giving us a very nice wave motion. If we were to spend some time and adjust all the pieces in the rig and layer them correctly, we would have something that looks like this. Right? The arm is in a nice waving motion. It's very fluid, getting a nice arcing motion, but we're using straight pieces. So that's a very simple example, but it really shows you how much arcing movement you can get with two straight pieces. And this is a big deal because when it comes to using puppets and rigs, that level of flexibility is really difficult to achieve. It looks so much better when it's done correctly. I can take your puppet animation from good to awesome. Another simple example is, let's say we wanted this character to hit his hand on this table. We can break the joints to get some nice flexibility. As his arm comes up, we're gonna lead with the elbow. We'll break the wrist a little bit this way as well. Next frame, the elbow is still going up. Now the wrist is gonna break in the other direction. I want to do this with rigs to show you that all this flexibility can really help make your rigs not look like puppets and make them look more hand-drawn. The next frame, let's see, the elbow is going down now. The hand is still going up, so we can drag this up here. Next frame, the elbow is almost at the ground, but our wrist is still being broken and going up like this. As the elbow comes down, now it hits the floor. If we play our animation, it's only on 4s, but you can see we're getting some nice loose arm movement. It does not look like a puppet at all. Here's something a little more subtle. How about this simple clapping animation? Literally just moving the arm up and moving it back. But we can make this a little more interesting and flexible. So as the arm comes back, let's break it at the wrist. And as it comes down, we can break it the other way. Even something as simple as that, we're getting a little bit of flexibility in our movements. So it's really important to know when to break joints, but it's also even more important to know when not to do it. Sometimes for small, subtle movements, maybe breaking a joint will be too distracting. Don't be afraid to experiment and break those joints, but also don't be afraid to take out the breaks if you don't think it's necessary. Let's look at a full body example and how we can break basically every part in the body to get some nice, flexible movement. Let's circle back to our hand slapping the table. So this time, I'm gonna break him at the hips first. As he swings up, his arm, we're going to break him at the elbow. And the wrist. Our next pose, we're going to break him at the hips again. So now he's moving the other direction. As his body is coming down, I'm going to break him at the elbows again. and move his wrist back as well. For the impact frame, bent over even more and slapping the table. So he's looking very loose but very broken at the same time. So let's go in and clean up our rig and fix all these broken lines. Let's have a look. Here are our finished poses. All in perspective, all with clean lines. So he comes up, he breaks at the hips, breaks at the elbow. He comes down, his hips break again, and his elbow is breaking in the opposite direction as the wrist is being dragged. And boom, we have our final hit on the table. Right? And here is the finished animation on 3s and 4s. We're really getting some nice fluid movement. The character doesn't look stiff at all. It all started when we thought about breaking the joints during our posing stage. So that's all I have for breaking joints, guys. It's a really fun thing to do, and it really makes a huge difference when it comes to movement in your animation. All the joints we broke in these examples, we didn't really go too crazy, but you'd be surprised with what you can get away with. So that's it for now. Like always, any questions, comment them below. Thanks for watching. I'll see everybody in the next video. Leave it. Yes, good boy.